So the fundamental flaw in this entire process is, without enhancing yourself, you're trying to enhance your activity. It's like you take a junk Vauxhall and try to drive it on the F1 track. It's bound to fall apart. Instead of dreaming of winning an F1 race, if you build a machine which is capable of doing whatever your intelligence allows to build, whatever kind, if you build one, then it'll do whatever it does. Whether it wins or not is subject to what others have done. Whether you win a race or not simply depends on how good or bad other people are. But when we do something, are we functioning from the highest possibility within us or from the lowest possibility or somewhere in between is a big question. And the biggest question in human life is, you do not know what is your highest possibility. For every other creature on this planet, nature has drawn two lines. Within that, they live and go. For the human being, there's only bottom line, there's no top line. So it doesn't matter what you become, you still don't know whether you've hit the peak or not. Only those people who are only interested in winning races with other crippled people, they have hit the peak. But any genuine human being who is exploring his own nature, you never know if you've hit your peak because there is still room, though no matter what you have done. So, enhancing the machine, this human mechanism, is most important. Whether you win the race or not, whether you did this or not is not important. If you have this enhanced, everything that you do will be enhanced. People around you think you're superhuman simply because everything that you do seems to be of a different nature, of a different quality that they can't imagine. Not because you're intending to do things better than other people, simply because you have spent time to enhance this one. So, this is a fundamental flaw in the attitude with which people are entering the world. Instead of building a great mechanism which will… whatever it does will be of a great possibility, people are trying to do great things, which is going to kill them. That's why successful people are miserable. Somehow they've managed to do something and it's taking such a big toll on them. So that's the thing. The only quality is clarity. People think confidence is a substitute for clarity. That's the biggest disaster. Great disaster on the planet is people who have no clarity have confidence. See, you are who you are only because of whatever you might have perceived. What you have not perceived is not you, isn't it? See, whether you're consciously aware of this or not, how people experience you right now is, whatever you have perceived, in whichever way it's finding expression, that is what people's experience of you are. And that is what your experience of yourself is, whatever you have perceived. Instead of enhancing perception, we are trying to enhance again expression. Everybody wants to express anything and everything, no matter whether they know something or don't know something, everybody wants to express. This is the age of expression without perception. It's a disaster. People are becoming who they are because of what they express, not because of what they have perceived. If you are who you are, because essentially in life, the nature of life is such, only what you have perceived is you. See, Today a 12-year-old child looks bored. Never before it was so, it's only in this generation because he's seen the cosmos through his phone screen. He knows everything, there's nothing he does not know. Me knowing how many million light years away is a particular galaxy which we call as Z127 is not knowledge. Whether it's 10 million light years or 100 million light years makes no difference because in my perception there is no way to experience a light year, first of all. It's all conceptual, it is not experiential. Unless your perception is experiential, it doesn't enhance you, it is just accumulation. Like people accumulate wealth, money, useless things all over, trinkets, people are accumulating knowledge or information, trinkets which will make them look smart in a tea party, only in comparison to somebody else who does not know where galaxy Z127 is. You belong to a generation which is goal-oriented. Goal-oriented means you are interested in the mango, the sweetness of the mango, but you are not interested in the tree. But if you want mangoes in your garden, you don't have to think mangoes, you don't have to meditate upon mangoes. You have to think soil, filth, water, sunlight. No mangoes in your mind. You have only soil, water, sunlight in your mind. Mangoes will happen. Or in other words, you are too interested in the consequence but not in the process which causes the consequence. This is goal-orientedness. In yoga we say, if you have one eye on the goal, you have only one eye to find your way, it's inefficient. If you use both your eyes to find your way, according to your capability, you will go as far as you can go. That means you're not concerned how far somebody is going, you want to go as far as you can go, that's what you're interested in. But right now, this goal-orientedness means you're only interested in going one step further than your neighbor. Or in other words, the only joy that you have in your life is somebody is doing worse than you. I think that's a sick mind. You can look at Mr. Bolt, you know. You could look at Mr. Bolt for the inspiration, all right? But if you try to run like him, you'll break your legs, that's all that'll happen. For inspiration, you can look at Mr. Bolt, perfectly fine. You can look at Mr. Sachin Tendulkar for inspiration. You try to go and face a ball which is coming at 160 kilometers per hour, a hard ball, you'll kill yourself, really. Most people know cricket only on television, so they think it's a nice game. Go and stand there, it's the most violent game. Projectiles are coming at you at tremendous speed, giving you a fraction of a second to react and hit the ball. Because they see it only on television, they think it's a nice, beautiful game. No, it's among all the games that are popular today in the world, it is the most dangerous game. Nowhere else any hard ball is coming at you at that speed, really most of the time coming at your head. I'm saying, because somebody mastered that, you can use him as an inspiration, but you don't try to do what he is doing today afternoon because you'll be dead. Yes. So, you can use a high level of whatever somebody has set a goal as an inspiration. Somebody is running 100 meters in 8 seconds, you can use it as an inspiration, don't try to do it. It's like a Vauxhall trying to be a Ferrari. Who knows, maybe you can hit the ball better than Tendulkar. Right now, why do you want to limit yourself to Tendulkar standards? You hit the ball according to your capability, who knows, maybe you'll hit it better than Tendulkar. We don't know. The possibility is there. In reality, there may be a distance, that's different, but the possibility is there. So if you become goal-oriented, Your goals are always determined by other people's capabilities. You will never do what you could have done. Maybe you can't hit a ball, maybe you could do something else, way better than anybody else. But you will never do that because you go on trying to hit the ball that you can't hit. People are trying… because now they found a means, a technological means to find expression. See, what would perception look like? See, there are only 5 instruments of perception right now for you: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. So, every moment, all the 5 senses are recording phenomenal amount of information. Now, the processing of this information is happening from a certain prejudice. When I say prejudice, the identity causes prejudice. If you're functioning from an identity, whatever, you are English, I'm Indian, somebody is man, somebody is woman, this is all prejudice. People think they're broad-minded, well, it's a broad prejudice. The moment you're identified with something, there is a certain prejudice attached to it, you can't help it. That's the way the intellect works, because intellect cannot function without identity. If you take away identity, your thoughts will become still. That's all it is. That's what is called meditation. If you can sit here without being identified with the physiological or psychological or the worldly process that's going on, you will become meditative. Because you're not identified with anything, your intellect becomes quiet. See, you belonging to a certain nation, you belonging to this or that is something that we've made up, all right? What we make up, we must manage. But what we made up has gone out of control. You identify to such a point, you really think it is, you're willing to live and die for it. So because of that identity, what you call as my mind or intellect has become prejudiced in a certain way. It's okay for survival process, this prejudice is good for survival process. But if you're wanting to look for clarity, you want to see things the way they are, you want to perceive life just the way it is, not as an Englishman, not as an Indian, not as a man, not as a woman, but you want to experience life just the way it is, then you must have the ability to distance yourself from identity and just look at it. It's not that you're not at all doing it, every human being is becoming released from their identity at some point of involvement with something. But it's not a conscious process, it's not by choice. Once in a way, it's happening, those moments they produce something significant, rest of the time they're just a mess. I'm talking about, if you have a machine, every time you touch it, it must fire, all right? Intermittently it fires once in a way, that's not a great machine. The same goes for the human being. If you have a spark of genius, you must be able to make it happen spark all the time, 24 hours. Otherwise, it fires once in a way, accidentally, then you become astrological. You're looking for the right position of the planets for you to fire. That's inefficiency. That inefficiency is coming because perception is blocked. There's an entire science. As there is a science and technology to create external situations the way we want it, there is a whole science and technology to create inner situation the way you want it. This is what we're calling as inner engineering, to engineer your interiority the way you want. As I said, the other dimension of intelligence within you. I think today people are beginning to talk about emotional intelligence, not just IQ, EQ and whatever. This is just rudimentary steps, taking at least one small step, but a rudimentary step. This is essentially a very deep-rooted Western malice which has gotten into everybody today. Intellect is supreme. This is a European idea. In India, We have not given much significance to intellect because your intellect always functions from a limited data that you have gathered. Your thought process happens only from the limited data that you have. If you function from your thought process, nothing new will ever happen in your life because you're just recycling the old all the time. Maybe you can produce permutations and combinations of that. Here, our focus has always been how to enhance your perception. Don't worry about your thought, whether it looks smart or dumb, that's not the issue. How to enhance the perception. If your ability to perceive life is enhanced, naturally your ability to act in the world is naturally enhanced without any effort. Yoga is a technology for well-being. You don't need to believe it. Why I'm insisting is a technology is, it doesn't matter who you are, whether what gods you believe in or you disbelieve in, which part of the geography you come from. Here, if you learn to use it, it works, and that's the nature of yoga.